Revelations chapter 12, verse 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony. And they loved not their lives unto death. Indeed, this is my objective today as I share with you my testimony. And over the next 7 days, I'm going to roll out to you, my testimony and a critical word that needs to be put out in the atmosphere. And we're going to touch on even issues that they are talking about in the media in regards to immigration. It just lines up with my story right now. So it's so fitting to just touch on these issues that the Lord introduced to me even years ago prior to the public demonstration of witchcraft. So hey, just sit back and relax and just get ready for this powerful testimony that God is prompting me to put out in the atmosphere at this time. Okay, so we're going to be talking about my testimony, and I just want to begin by sharing my testimony as it relates to the Bishop Dale Bronner. He has had a lot to say about me during the public demonstration. At the initiation of this public demonstration, there were so many words that came out of him, and so a lot of the confusion and slander, it was a result of this man. And I just want the world to know, how we engage, and by me sharing my story, you'll get to see the character of this man. Indeed, you're going to see the character, because this is indeed my story. And so it began, I first encountered the Bishop Dale Bronner when I attended this church. It's a little church in Decatur, Georgia. And it was a result of the pastor. They had met Dale Bronner's brother. I think his name is Nate Bronner. And they began to have interaction with him, and as a result of their interaction, they invited Dale Bronner, and on a couple occasions he actually preached at the church. So that was my first encounter. I nevertheless had anything to do with him personally. It was just from afar. He preached. It was a nice message, and they seemed to be nice people. Of course, they had a name. We knew that they were in the field of cosmetology, dealing with hair products. And so that was my first encounter. Later on, some years later, I end my fellowship with this particular church, and the Lord led me to attend his church. I visited some other churches in between, interim of leaving that church. And then, after visiting a couple of churches, he said, I want you to, check out the Bishop Dale Bronner church. And so I went to his church, and my time there was nevertheless, it was limited. It wasn't very long. And I was just following his leadership, but I thought I would be there a very long time, but it wasn't long. But at any rate, the time that I was there, I had interaction with his wife. I never came into any form of, conversation with Dale Bronner, counseling session with him. There was, I didn't talk to him at all. But I did have some interaction with his wife, and it was just relating to the praise group. I was a part of the praise group with her. She was a very nice lady, and we, we sung praise songs. I was a part of the praise group. And so it was exciting, because he was starting a new ministry, and
and there was just this one time we met with him, you and I.
Right, and I'm gonna cover that. But at that time, I hadn't engaged in conversation with him at all. And so while I was there, God suddenly he told me, I want you to he was transitioning me, telling me that he wanted me to be a part of the World Changers ministry.
Right.
You know, it was just abrupt, and he was like, I want you to cut this loose, and I want you to transition. And I just remember prior to transitioning, when I was there, they were trying to make contact with that ministry. They were trying to make contact, particularly with Creflo Dollar, because his name was blowing up and everything. So, you know, they wanted to make contact with him and have him speak, but they never could get a response from him. I just remember particularly his wife Nina sharing that with me. Well, upon leaving, you know, I invited my friend Janice to the Bishop Dale Bronner's church. You know, she wasn't driving. As a matter of fact, Janice never drove. It took a very long time before she actually got her license. So, indeed, you know, as a friend, you know, I drove her around a whole lot, you know, as well as there were others, you know, after I, you know, whenever I wasn't engaged with her, you know, she had another friend that really, you know, drove her around, you know. So at any rate, I introduced her to the church, and after I introduced her to the church, God, he transitioned me out. He said, I want you to leave. I want you to go to World Changers Church. They had a ministerial class, and he wanted me to attend that church and attend the ministerial class, and I did. Upon graduating from the ministerial class, then, you know, suddenly, you know, God, he said, I want you to go back to the Bishop Dale Bronner Church. You know, as a matter of fact, as I was in med school at World Changers, I visited Bishop Dale Bronner's church, and I let the Creflo Dollar know that I was, you know, going over there, because the Holy Spirit was leading me to go over there. So upon graduating, I went back to his church, and that was the only time I went back to his church. And the Lord, you know, he led us to meet with the Bishop Dale Bronner, let him know, you know, where I had been, and indeed that, you know, I was looking to reconnect with his ministry. And during that time, Deirdre, you went into the meeting with me. Right. And that was one meeting that we encountered with him, and it was very short, very brief. And to be honest, I felt like this man, his nose was turned up. He had issues, and he just, you know, covered some things that he felt that would be necessary, you know, with me being reintroduced to the ministry, that he felt like I should do. And after that, hey, it was over. But when I left that meeting, God told me, I don't want you to go back there. And it was during my stay there that I found out indeed that Creflo Dollar had followed me. I couldn't tell the Bishop, you know, Bronner, that, hey, it was some issues, you know. And this man, he followed me to Dale Bronner Church, because it was during my stay that he actually said that he, along with Creflo Dollar and other ministers, that they had gone to a professional NBA, I think it was a basketball game, and all of this and all of that. And I'm sure, you know, because I was a part of the World Changers ministry, and I was very upfront. I wasn't trying to undermine him or anything. I let him know I was at this church. God told me to come here, and I was going back. And he obviously had a problem with that, and he followed me, and they had words. Well, upon, you know, finding that out and everything, God, he said, I don't want you to come back. You just go home. Right. And see, really, he was really preparing me for the public demonstration of witchcraft, because at the end of the day, when the public demonstration began, he said, these churches in your vicinity got witchcraft, and I pulled you out of church, okay? And so he, you know, led me progressively, you know, because he was really, you know, I didn't know in hindsight, he was, you know, preparing me to be a part of this public demonstration.
And they were blazing your trail, because they had already, unbeknown to you, looked into your future through the fire, and discovered some things. So he made a connection with Dale Bronner because of you.
Right. And that's another thing that I didn't know. We had a lot of problems and issues with Creflo Dollar again, because I'm telling you, and I want to tell the saints this, because a lot of saints, you could be just like the way I was. I was unaware. I was unaware that, just everyday people had the ability to go and look in somebody's future. I didn't know it was a result of things that they do. Now, I know about psychics, and I really didn't know all of what they did to see someone's future. They read your hand. They just look a little spooky, and I never dealt with anything like that. I never put myself around any person like that. But I didn't realize that a lot of Christians, indeed, and a lot of people that you even work with on the job, everyday people, common people, they were doing this. And I didn't know. I wasn't aware of that. But indeed, Creflo A. Dollar had looked in my future, because while I was a part of the ministerial class, he said great ministry was coming up out of this particular class. And when I was there every April, he was looking for a manifestation of God doing something great. And I remember, after leaving the church period and God brought me home, I knew he was talking to me. He would have my spiritual father who attended World Changers to call to see, what was going on with me, and then, I know the times when I knew he was talking to me. He was like, when your ministry is going to come up out, when your ministry is going to develop, when is it going to come up, what are you going to be, a skyscraper? Because, it was so much time God rooted me in the low places, and it was like, when is it going to happen? And so this man knew that I had great ministry as a result of going into the fire. And as we go through this session, me sharing, because I have other great breaking news that, I got to reveal in my testimony, because I'm overcoming as I testify. And indeed, I got some words to share with you just to show how people can look in your future. They know everything. And these people can get upset, even jealous, to the extent where they would try and kill you because of what they see in the future. And you may not know anything about it, anything. And so, he knew about me. The Lord let me know people in the government who work craft, they know about me. The Caucasian white people, whatever. They knew. They didn't know who this person was, but they knew it was a person that was going to be rising up at this time. And people were targeting their fire and their attitudes towards me, and I didn't even know. It was really, and so that's how this assignment came about. And indeed, God said this is a work that nobody, they don't want the work. They don't want this assignment, not the ugly part. Now, they would like to share in the glory, but this ugly part, he said, this is a job nobody wants. And I had to take it. And indeed, it has been just challenging. It has been unspeakable, unbelievable, the things that I've gone through. It's been psychological warfare, because, as we've already disclosed, we've had to go through the unveiling of just witches and, really people from the living dead. And so it has been challenging. So up to this point, this is the way it rolled. I never really had any interactions with the Bishop Dale Bronner at all. He didn't know anything about me. I didn't talk to his brother. When he was a part of the small fellowship, I never engaged in a conversation about, who I am, where I come from, with absolutely anyone in his family. No one at his church. The only person that knew some things about me was my friend Janice, in which I introduced her to that church. And during my absence, when I was at home, God would show me occasionally that she was talking to them. They had the kind of fellowship where she would call them in at their home. He particularly showed me these things. And so she was engaged, and she would, she and her family, they intermingle at home with the pastor. And he let me know that. And so, and he also revealed, this is when I was absent away from his church, that he and his wife were the biggest gossipers of the church. Now that's what he said. And he later on, made it clear Nina was a part of this gossip because she's married to this man. But indeed, she's a Christian woman, but she had got weaved up in a lot of gossip. There's a lot of gossip, the Lord let me know, prior to the initiation of the public demonstration. And I believe God, he just let me know line upon line, precept upon precept, because when I look in hindsight, it looks like God, he was preparing me for all the gossip and the lies and the slander that came out as my name went to another level, as I was introduced to the world. And they were saying they're going to give me a movie deal, television. Everybody was, jealous, didn't know really how things were going to work out. And then people had secrets. That's what, a lot of things went down in my absence. And, people had secrets, and they had indeed motivation to slander my name and to lie. Right. And so I want to deal with, the Bishop Dale Bronner. I want the world to know the truth. I want them to know my story. I absolutely didn't know this man at all. We didn't have any engagement. And the words that he shared out with people, put my name out before, God let me know during the initiation of the public demonstration that he was in close range with people who knew Oprah Winfrey. Right. And he was talking to her. Now, indeed, he had a story to tell, but I thought he was telling a good story. Right. When God was showing me that, I thought it was, I'm like, all I collect in my memory is good interaction, no gossip, no slander. I don't even know this man, so I thought it was good. But indeed, this man was slandering my name behind my back. And then it went to another level as I was navigated through the public demonstration. As the ministers were talking to me, they were like, your friend, particularly Paula White, I got messages that I've recorded, and she was like, your friend, you won't believe what she said. It was unbelievable. Right. The things that they put out about my name. And at this end, if you don't know who I am, if you haven't met me, well, what is your motivation? Why would Bishop Dale Bronner, put slanderous words out in reference to my name? Well, I had to deal with Janice. I'm a person, I'm very confrontive. I always been. To give you the opportunity to support the work of this ministry financially. The truth of the gospel is buried in the debris and the ashes of the world system's fire. Because of the church, many false prophets, preachers, and teachers burn candles and incense unauthorized. They've turned the truth of the gospel into a lie. They are perpetuating witchcraft around the world, controlling the people's minds across the lands through working spells, mixing the truth with the lies. Indeed, this is a sign of the times. We're in the last days, days of great deception, days of gross darkness, where spiritual adversaries and principalities are everywhere carrying out the curse of the law. Your generosity equips us to share the gospel that Jesus Christ taught to millions of people around the world. We are spreading light and God's holy messengers throughout the lands through the preaching of the word, our daily prayers, and authorized prayer rituals. On bended knees, we lift you and your family up before God. We humbly thank you, our friends and partners, for your support. Nothing blesses us more than to see lives changed by the gospel of Jesus Christ. It is simply priceless. To support us, you may call us, write in, or give online. Your generosity enables us to stop misfortune in the lives of others. May God bless you many times over for your seed donations. Thank you so much for your special gift to this ministry. We love you so much.